Okay, good morning. I'm going to introduce this lady, Katie Cohen-Pusley. She's psychiatric and psychological service director in USA. Kate Cohen-Pusley is MS, Master Science, and LMHC, LMFT, has 40 years of clinical practice that's led to the publication of several books, national and international, seminar, and even ventures. She is the creator of the hand-brain model that makes neuroscience understandable. Her brief therapy client handouts books are well known. Her book, Empowering Dialogues Within, books give support information for her ego-stated approach to brain sport, and was inspired by a 2-hour workshop David Grant gave 16 years ago. Kate is currently offering a seminar through BASI called Neuroscience for Clinicians. She travels around the US offering this BSP treats, enticing clinicians to seek more training. So,
thank you so much, and welcome everyone. You will notice I don't use PowerPoint. You guys are my PowerPoints. And this workshop is a little different in that we'll be creating a dialogue between myself and you. There's a big extra credit at the end if you can figure out why I don't use PowerPoint. So to start, we will be following a manual that you all have, and it's kind of a question and answer dialogue. There'll be some partner exercises, and there will be a demonstration, so I hope I will have a volunteer for a very different kind of a way of doing brain spotting, which is gaze spotting. We'll start out with a little bit of information about brain spotting, and then you'll see a different way of doing things, and then we'll tie it all together. So you should be on page 3 of your manual, and we'll start off with a very quick neurobiological review. David already gave you one of what happens in brain spotting, but this will go into a little more depth. And there are some sample handy brains around. If you want to try it on, you can, and maybe show people next to you exactly what I'm pointing out. Yes?
Can we get rid of the slides?
I would love to get rid of the slides. Can you get rid of the slides? Yes. And could we, is it okay if we take this off here? Oh, no, it's, no. Okay, we better not. Okay. So in brain spotting, we start with activation, right? So what areas of the brain are involved in activation? So of course, it starts with the amygdala, which is right here. And if you've got a handy brain on, you might show it to your neighbors. If you don't have one on, if this is Daniel Siegel, the way he uses a hand model of the brain. So if you just hold your hand like this, you've got a brain, and the amygdala would be right here. Your cortex is curling around, the limbic system is here, and then our lovely midbrain is over here, which we'll get into that. So the story starts in activation with the amygdala, and the amygdala activates the 2 areas. Now, this is another really important area in the brain. How many of you have heard of the cingulate gyrus? Raise your hand. Good. Okay, so the cingulate gyrus is on the bottom layer of the limbic system. It would really be lovely if people in the back felt comfortable coming closer. not ordering you, but it would be lovely. So, the limbic system is the bottom layer of the cortex, the cingulate gyrus. Cingulate means band, and the cingulate gyrus is like a band around the limbic system. And when you activate that cingulate gyrus, you actually turn off the amygdala. So when we have people staring at the pointer activates the anterior cingulate gyrus. But we were on the amygdala, so the amygdala connects with the posterior cingulate gyrus, which is underneath the parietal lobe, and that connects with our autobiographical memories. And then the ventral cingulate, ventral is ventral and dorsal, right? So the ventral part of the cingulate curls underneath, and that's that very emotional part of the brain. So the amygdala is firing up this part of the cingulate, the back part of the cingulate, and then look where the amygdala is placed, right here under the hippocampus. And that's where your short-term memories become long-term memories. So that's what happens when we activate, right? Now, let's take a moment. What happens when you're sitting with a client, they start talking about their material, and they go to the gaze spot? What area of the brain is activated with the gaze spot? Anybody want to make a guess?
Occipital, right?
Say it again?
The occipital or
You're right, say it.
colliculi.
The colliculi. And you all are very welcome to correct my pronunciation if I'm wrong. So the superior colliculi, am I saying it right? Okay. So that is right here in the midbrain. Now, I haven't drawn that on the handy brain model. I think on page 10 of your handout you'll see a really good picture of it. But it's on this upper portion. There's a superior colliculi for vision. Inferior is more auditory. Olfactory, is a separate part of the limbic system. So when somebody's hitting a gaze spot, they're going right to that superior colliculi, and it's connecting with autobiographical material. It's so wonderful to see all these heads nodding. I do presentations all over the United States. People have no idea what I'm talking about. So, this is great.
We're all brain geeks.
Yes, brain geeks. Oh, my people, brain geeks. Okay. So so somebody's activated, they go to a gaze spot, we say, what are you feeling in your body, or where are you feeling something? What area of the brain is in charge of what we're feeling, notices it? You're pointing to it, aren't you? Show everybody. Not quite. What area of the brain is watching our body activation?
Could be the insula.
Yes, it is the insula. What's your name? You are a brain geek. Okay, so the insula is right here. It's in between the temporal lobe and the frontal lobes, right here. Insula means island. And this is such an important place in the brain. So immediately we want to have people paying attention to their body sensations. Now when we take the pointer and we're going across the horizon, and that's the spot that's activated, that is involving the, I'm going to forget the name, interparietal sulcus is about right here, and it connects to the insula right here. I'm going to have to cheat. Hang on. Let's see. Yeah. So the interparietal sulcus, this area right here, connects to the superior colliculi right here, and then that also connects to the insula. But remember, it's all, folded like this. So all these neural pathways connect really quickly. Let's see. Now, there's another therapeutic thing we're doing besides getting a brain spot and noticing body sensations. What's the third really therapeutic thing that we're doing in brain spotting? Relationship. Good. Gosh, I'm telling you, I don't usually have such smart audience. And I always say extra credit for wrong answers, and you all are giving the right answers, so no extra credit for you. So, okay, so let's see. So the question you just answered was, the therapeutic gaze. Okay, the relationship. When I am looking at you, am I affecting your brain? Yes, I am. So I'm affecting 3 areas. In the Corrigan Grand paper, it says that heightens the activity of this insula so that the insula does a better job of observing the body. It also heightens the medial prefrontal cortex, which is right around here. And again, I'm going to have to cheat. It heightens medial and the anterior cingulate cortex, this part right here. Anterior cingulate cortex is really my favorite part of the brain. So it heightens the activity of the insula that's observing our bodies and the activity of the anterior cingulate, which helps us focus and it helps information integrate, right? Okay. So when we're doing brain spotting, we're mimicking the orienting response, right? But the orienting response in trauma is interrupted. So in brain spotting, we're completing that orienting response, and we're bringing all that stuff online. Now what I want to ask you, we've seen all these different brain areas. What if we added some new brain areas to brain spotting? Do you think that would be good? So let's find out how we can do that. Now, this is going to seem a little off topic for a minute, but looking down on here, if a client says, I'll never make it on my own, and you say to a client, part of you is saying that you're never going to make it on your own. Have I just done something therapeutic? And what would you say is therapeutic with that?
Well, you recognize that there's another part, so you are going into a completely different state of mind that is actually reacting to it. It's an emotional state of mind.
Yeah. Very good. So I've just separated, I call it conquer and divide, but it's not original with me. I learned this from internal family systems therapy, but it's predates them also. So there's also a hypnotic implication. A part of you is saying you'll never make it on your own, implants the supposition that there's another part of you that knows it will make it on its own. So I always say in my seminars, if you don't learn anything else, please learn the language of parts. And I used to have to do CBT seminars, and I said, I turn thoughts into parts, and just whenever you hear an automatic thought, immediately put it in second person. Oh, a part of you is saying, I hate those people, or a part of you is saying, I have too much work to do. So turning it into a part. So what grammatical changes that puts it in from first person into second person, and the person is less fused with their thoughts. So your thoughts are your identity. Descartes, I think, therefore I am, and now we're going to separate our thoughts and diffuse from them this way, and we become diffused from our thoughts. So, Assagioli, have people here ever heard of Assagioli? Psychosynthesis said, we are dominated by everything with which our self identifies. We can control those things from which we disidentify. So looking on the list of core beliefs on page 4. I think it's page 4. It should look like this. Yes.
I'm just curious, I mean, as I was thinking about this, you were talking about the observer part of our brain, the insula, right? Is this, you think that this is the insula that's observing, a part? I mean, are we kind of pulling that into this process?
Okay, excellent question. Is it the insula that is observing that? Well, the insula mainly is observing visceral body organs. So in that sense it is. I used to think it was in the thalamus. Now I just don't know where the observing. We have resources also, and David talked this morning about resources in the body, but we're going to find other resources today. So looking at this list of negative core beliefs, what do you immediately notice is different about it from other lists of negative core beliefs?
They're in second person?
They're in second person. Very good. They all start with you. And one other thing, how about the organization? You notice how it's organized? Now, Francine, I'm not sure if I'm going to remember her organization, but it's feeling guilty taking me. I don't remember hers. It's different from Francine's. So, do you see what it is? It's Eric Erickson's. Yes.
It's like almost like DID type. It's seeing it from very different, unique.
Right. Well, it's DID in the sense.
Something that like someone told us.
Something that someone told you.
I mean.
Okay, so let's say something somebody told you during the autonomy versus shame and doubt stage of your development. And that would be a controlling part. So when people are in the terrible twos, you can't do this, you have to do that. And while we're going over this, I want you to identify a thought that you might have about yourself in the worst moments. So when we got a little older than that, we started feeling guilty. And these are Eric Erickson stages, and they correlate beautifully. If you've ever heard of Hal and Sidra Stone, they identify 4 or 5 core subpersonality types. So in the initiative versus guilt stage, they talk about a protector, controller personality part. Now, if you got your trauma, as I did, in the industry versus inferiority stage, you might have a lot of those kind of negative cognitions. I felt the second grade, thought I was dumber than dirt. So when my daughter was in school, I was always, have you done this? Have you gotten this done? When are you doing that? And I'm still a little bit like that, but that's where I get some of mine from. But you mentioned the identity versus role confusion, the people pleaser part. When you're a teenager, you're wanting to fit in. And then the inner critic, and David talked about the inner critic, the self-hater voices, they double tag team with all the other voices. So, has anybody found a thought that you get about yourself in your worst moments? You're all so evolved here. Somebody's almost got their hand raised. You've got one?
Yeah, so I can't handle this, or you can't handle this, or it's too much, or...
Okay. All right, now you're going to do a partner exercise, and I'm demonstrating with you the first part. So you have the thought, I can't handle this, I can't do this. So you have a part of you that's telling you you can't handle it, you can't do it. So looking on the pictures on the opposite page, do you see a picture that might represent the part of you that tells you you can't handle this and you can't do it?
I automatically went to the Protheus or whatever, the man holding the globe.
Oh, okay. Atlas.
Atlas.
Holding the globe. Yes, this is too much for you. Okay, and where, as you look at that picture, Atlas holding the globe, you think of this is too much for me, or that part saying it's too much for you. What do you notice in your body?
A little anxious.
Feel a little anxious.
Visceral kind of reaction.
Visceral. Okay, excellent. Let's do one more demonstration and then you'll do it in partners. Do you have a thought that...
I don't know how to talk in English, but my picture is there.
Okay, in what? That's the screen as she's picturing. What was the thought over here? Now this is interesting. She gets the picture first. So the thought might be in this section. It could be anywhere, but okay, so you could do something awful. You could do something wrong. Is that what it is? Can you read it? Is it, here's my translator. Is it big? Okay. Something awful's going to happen. Let's go with that. Okay. So, no, she said something awful's going to happen, so we'll just go with that. So, but you are trapped is very good for that particular picture. Okay. So, first step you're going to do with your partner, her thought is something awful's going to happen. Second step is, so a part of you is saying something awful is going to happen. Third step is find the picture. She already found the picture. It's the screen. And now looking at the screen and thinking, hearing this voice in your head saying something awful is going to happen, what do you notice in your body?
My heart beating fast.
Her heart is beating fast. Now, there's an optional step if you want to give that part a name, that scream. Do you have a name for it?
My name?
No, the name for that part.
Yeah, it's 7 years.
Okay, so if you want to come up with a name for your part, his part had a name. It's Atlas.
No, that was the term that came up to me, but I actually see an image of a little boy that feels really overwhelmed, like a little bee.
Right, okay, so that image helped you go to, so his name for his part is Little Me.
Sure.
Little Me, very good. If they can come up with a name, good. So you're in partners, you're going to do those 4 steps. If you want to do a 5th one, that's fine. So you need to be in partners. You need a partner too. There's a lady in the back. Is she going to leave?
I'm sorry. I'm freezing. I can't bear the belief. I don't have the beliefs.
You don't have any beliefs?
No, I'm just freezing and have a reaction on the body.
She means when she's freezing, she doesn't really relate to a belief.
What things do you relate to a picture?
Yeah, the picture I think is something like that,
Oh, that's a good one. Okay,
like the judgment.
it's fine if you don't have a thought. My hunch is if it's this one, it's your thought, there's something wrong with you, you're that person. If it's
You can do that.
you can't do that. No.
No.
that as well.
That's right. You're not gonna feel, oh no, I can't do it.
And now you're feeling it right here, right?
And start breathing here, and my feet.
Were you trained in that? So you no, you have to follow it.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I'm foolish.
What do we have to do? So, okay, so what's your picture? Both.
We say choose both. Yes.
And what's the part?
I have to be perfect.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yes, and so really look at the picture, think your thoughts, and know your so it's something that will happen in my name for the name for that. So a name for the part that says something that will happen.
Baby.
And you have
A girl of 8 years.
you see a girl, your 8-year-old. Yeah, 8-year-old.
After we find the picture and find place in the body,
You've done this part of it. Unless you want to give it a name.
he's having child.
A lot of people are going with the child. Has everybody finished the exercise? So. So, how did you find the exercise? Any comments on it or questions about it? Any comments or questions about the exercise? Do you think it helps you separate more from the thought? You're nodding your head yes? Can you say a little bit how it helped you separate from the thought?
Because I see the picture, and the picture is here, there, and I'm here added.
Yes. Okay.
It's easy to identify the voice.
It makes it easier to identify the voice. Very good. It kind of helps with mindfulness. Do you think, did it help you attune to your client, to your partner? You say yes. Can you say how it helped you attune to your partner?
It was much more quicker.
Wait, let me give you.
I don't speak English.
We have a translator. Say it.
No, I just speak German.
Oh, she speaks German.
Okay. Ich habe mich sehr viel schneller verbunden gefühlt, weil ich irgendwie mehr verstanden habe von der Dimension. I sent myself much more quicker in relation because I felt much more information getting from different.
Felt more connected.
You speak English very well. Felt more, yes.
Because her picture is the same as mine. I feel something different too. I don't know why, but I feel.
Well, wait till we get to the resource pictures, because those of you who have my picture, yeah. Now, one thing I don't do in the partner exercise, usually with a client, let's say they pick this very interesting picture. You see the person hanging between two cliffs? No. It's on the second row? Yes. And so sometimes people who have panic attacks, and I say, so there's a part of you that tells you you're going to die. And so they might pick this picture. That, by the way, is an Osho.
Which one?
It's on the second row, the person hanging between two cliffs.
It's going to clouds.
With the clouds. And you get so much information, and these pictures turn people into poets. So they'll say, well, I'm falling, I'm being pulled in two different directions.
Turns them into poets.
Poets, yes. Yes, I'll give you a wonderful example of that from a lady in the airport yesterday when we look at another set of pictures. But she'll say I'm being pulled in two different directions, and she said something about the clouds and beneath. There's a part of me that wants to live, there's a part of me that wants to die. So it gives you so much incredible information. Okay, so again, the four steps, and with, yes, questions?
Well, what came up for me was that these are archetypal, right? They're symbolic, that all of us share in some way.
Symbolic and archetypical, yes, and you may notice, how many of you notice that some of these are tarot cards?
Yes.
So the tarot cards, did you know that they were developed from Kabbalah? So I live in a very right-wing religious area of the United States where I would not dare bring out tarot cards. But yet they're based on Kabbalah, and in this right-wing Christian area of the United States, they love Jews. But they probably don't know about Kabbalah, so. But yes, they're very archetypal, particularly the Rider-Waite Tarot deck is. Some of the other pictures here, the face with the puzzle, that's an Osho picture. O-S-H-O was an Indian mystic. The top row, the face with the puzzle, that's an Osho one. And now there are interactive images here. Let's see. Some of them I made myself. Of course, I made the screen myself. Oh, on the top row, the lady with the projector is an interactive card. And you'll see the references for all of them there. Now, if we can find pictures for our negative voices, how about pictures for our resources? So let's turn the page. And on the page 5A, I think, you see those pictures?
There was a question.
Oh, question?
We're talking about four question. What's the fourth step?
Okay, let me just go over the steps. Is first get the automatic thought. Second step is put it in second person. Third step is pick a picture. And then the fourth step is where do you feel it in your body? That's where we get into the brain spotting. We want to keep the brain and the body connected, right?
Yes.
But we want to have resources too. So on this page, who sees a picture that they like? Okay, what do you see?
The dolphins.
The dolphins. And so I'm demonstrating with you. So what do you like about the dolphins? First step is pick a picture. Second step, what do you like about the picture with the dolphins?
First of all, there are two of them. There are two of them, so that gives me the sensation that I'm always surrounded by guides, or it's not just me. And also gives me that security because they are very strong animals and at the same time very playful, but they give you a lot of confidence.
Okay, beautiful. So Eric named 3 resources, and he didn't even know he had them. That he's never alone. He has a resource for being playful. And then the third resource, confidence. Okay, for being confident that I'm strong. They're very strong animals. Notice how good it was. I just had a memory lapse, and he filled it in with a better word than I would have gone to, a sense of confidence. Okay? And then as you look at the picture, and you think about, you have resource for confidence, for not being alone, for playfulness, what do you notice in your body?
A very calm sensation.
A calm sensation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's around, I'm probably going one step ahead.
No, good.
But I feel it around my chest area. Yeah, it's just very soothing.
How would you describe it? Like, is it a warmth, or what is it?
No, it's just like almost like a liquid. That's why it reminds me what it's interesting because it's coming out of the chest too. So it's like a liquid, something fluid. It's just very peaceful.
Very beautiful. Okay. Do you want one more demonstration before you do it in partners?
Sure.
Okay. Who's got a picture that they like?
I like the eagle.
You like who is that?
Eagle.
The eagle. The eagle. Okay, so first step, she's picked her picture. Second step, what do you like about it?
I think it's interesting how it corresponds to the other picture. Because the other picture, it was me alone in the corner. But the always being alone gave me strength to be the eagle, to hunt alone and to form relationships that endure, because the eagle does it.
Yes, okay. Yes, so the eagle can form enduring so you have a resource. Third step, you have a resource for forming enduring relationships.
But it's interesting that the resource is coming from your trauma.
Yes, isn't that so true? Yes. Okay, so, and you mentioned hunting alone. Now, since you're a human and not an eagle, tell me a human word for hunting.
I'm hunting monsters. It's my metaphor for my work that I'm doing. The brain spot, for me, it's the monster. And when I see the monster, I hunt it.
Okay, so she is hunting for her clients' monsters. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, and she has those eagle eyes and perception to do that with, and that you can fly alone.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so those are the 4 steps. Don't worry if you miss one. You'll just find out what you left out. And is that your partner? What? Maybe we can get her to come up. Or, you two are partners, right? Is there anyone who doesn't have a partner? We can always have a try. You two are partners? No? Okay, sure, that's good.
Do I understand right? In the positive
Just a picture, no cognition. No cognition. Yes, it's way beyond cognition. Is my mic not? Oh, okay. Is this one on? Okay. I need a person in charge of the mic. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Can you hold on to the second mic? They're giving me a... Yes, you start with the picture.
Mas tem alguma coisa positiva depois? Por que tu gostou?
Are you about done with? Okay. So any comments or questions about this exercise? You did? You liked it? Can you say what you liked about it?
because I use my body and I'm always a somatic person.
So you were more aware of your body? Okay. Anything else? Any other comments on the exercise? So you all found resources. Did you realize you had these resources? Was this a new way of finding resources? Okay.
Yeah, I realized I was looking at the picture, and it just felt good.
It felt good.
It just felt good. So I stretched it. That's for me, the picture was the tree and the sun. It gave me this expansion, and so I started. She was talking to them, and so I was just so.
Oh, you could see it in her body movement.
Yeah, I just felt the movement and just went with it, and was induced by the picture.
Yes.
It was really good.
Yes. So I said that the pictures turns people into poets. So a lady in the airport was asking me why I was going to Brazil and what I did, and she's very interested in being a therapist. So, and she's going to take care of her 100-and-some-year-old mother. So I asked her, what picture do you like the most? And she said she liked, you see the hand holding the star? It's in the middle of the second row. How many of you picked that one, by the way? Did anyone pick that one? Okay, well, that's mine. But for a different reason. So I said, what do you like about the hand holding the star? And she said, I like the holding. I like the holding. And so I said, ooh, I think I left out a step. Sorry. So I said, what do you like about the holding? And she said, well, I'm holding a lot of people. And I said, well, don't be you. Be this picture and tell me what it's like to be holding. And she said, it's just a wonderful feeling. And she paused, and I could see there was a lot going on. And she said, it's like I'm holding the creative force of the universe. So isn't that beautiful? So since I forgot to do it, who was my dolphin man? You're the dolphin. So don't be you. Be the man with the dolphins. What is life like for you?
It's playful. I go a lot of places. It takes me a lot of places. I always inspire by my clients, and they are inspired by me, and I give them a lot, and they give a lot to me, and I grow with them, but everything in a playful and a relaxed way.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I left out, that's a very important step. That took him about 30 seconds to do that. Did you notice the feelings in your body? So Rick Hansen says it takes 30 seconds to get a positive thought hardwired in our brain. So you want to find ways of getting people to dwell on the positive. Wonderful way of resourcing people. Do you think these resources are something you want or something that's within you already? Everybody seems to think it's something within you. Okay. Do you think the images would enhance recall of positive thoughts? Yeah. Can you say why? Who said yes? You did? Do you want to say yes?
I just think of because of what it emotes. Sorry, because of what it emotes, how you end up feeling when you recall it,
and what it emotes. Well, and it's also a mnemonic or a memory trick. So if you've ever had that Alzheimer's test, and they ask you, they say, I'm going to give you 3 words: notebook, elephant, and tree. If you create an image of an elephant wrapping its trunk around a tree reading a notebook, you'll be able to remember it. So here's a wonderful example. I didn't start out with pictures. I started out with, here she is. I started out with, I had a shoe tree full of objects. I had Winnie the Pooh, who I think is a great resource, and because, you know, Pooh just is, and a star and various things. So somebody said, I said, what do you like on my wall? She picks this Barbie doll. I'm like, oh, please, dear God, not Barbie. But I didn't say that to her. I said, really? really, what do you like about Barbie? And she says, well, Barbie is powerful and she's confident and nobody can get the best of her. I've since upgraded to a much better Barbie doll. This one looks a little skanky to me. If you don't know that slang, you can figure it out later. So she came back next time. She was dealing with an abusive husband, and I asked how things were going, and she said, well, you know, that negative part of me says, you know, you really got to leave, but, I mean, the negative part says, I'm scared to leave, he might kill me. And she said, but now I just hear Barbie saying, oh, come on, girl, you can do it, your mother will come down from Georgia and she'll help you. So Barbie was really implanted. I saw her maybe 6 more sessions, she left, and then 2 years later she came back, and she had started dating, she went out with a man, and he didn't call her. They went on a cruise, he didn't call her back. And she was saying, that negative voice is saying there must be something wrong with me. I did something wrong, maybe I've gained weight. But she said, you know, Kate, I just keep hearing Barbie saying, oh, you're great, you're a beautiful woman, you know it wasn't you. So that's how strongly they implant. Now, these pictures, is this woo-woo or is there brain science? So I am now on page 6. And how many people have heard of Richard Davidson's work? Yeah. Raise your hands. How many of you have? Just 1, 2. Okay, so.
From Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin, and he's in a special.
UB Madison is where he's doing.
UB Madison and his research center special name. But anyway, so Richard Davidson started out as a graduate student putting electrodes all over people's heads. So when he started really doing his work, he put electrodes all over people's head. He showed them videos of people fighting, war scenes, and which frontal lobe lights up? Right frontal lobe lights up. He shows them pictures, comedy sketches, Abbott and Costello, Lucille Ball, really funny things. Left frontal lobe lights up. So Davidson says, is this something we acquire or is it something we're born with? What do you guys think?
It's innate.
Say what?
It's innate.
Innate. Well, you're right. That's what Richard Davidson thought. So he got 8-month-old children, put electrodes on their head, and he showed them a picture of an actress laughing, left frontal lobe lights up, a picture of an actress crying, right frontal lobe lights up. Not good enough for Davidson. So he gets newborns, maybe 6 weeks old. He puts sugar water on their tongue, left frontal cortex lights up. He puts lemon water on their tongue, right frontal cortex lights up. So our brain has this division. Now, Davidson's hypothesis is that when we were living in caves and we never wanted to get our wires crossed. So if we were getting away from the saber-toothed tiger, we had to be using that right frontal cortex. If we were searching for food, we had to use the left frontal cortex. Now, in 2009, Davidson gets a new toy. He gets an fMRI tube. And in the fMRI tube, he can't show videos, so he uses images, just like the images you just were looking at. So he shows an image of a baby with a tumor growing out of its eye, right frontal cortex lights up. Shows an image of a mother rocking a baby, left frontal cortex lights up. But now he can see below the cortex. So when that left frontal cortex lights up, it shuts off the amygdala, it inhibits it, and a brain area we haven't talked about, and it activates the nucleus accumbens, which is right here, and it releases dopamine, which is like cocaine. So seeing below the cortex, if this was the left frontal cortex, you get that frontal cortex lighting up, and David talked today about the regulation really coming from the cortex, and it's shutting down the amygdala, and you're getting this rewarding hormone here. Yes, question?
I wanted to know something about the asymmetry
What's about the left-handed and the right-handed people? Is there a correlation? Left-handed people?
Oh, left-handed people and right-handed people.
Yes.
Most everybody, whether they're left, I think 95% of people, their left hemisphere is positive.
And they really have the...
Even if you're left-handed, the left hemisphere is generally positive. And 5% of people, it's reversed. That's the statistic I've read.
And if they are both-handed?
Yeah, but the thing is that, and this I'm quite sure is true whether you're left-handed or right-handed, your verbal centers are on your left hemisphere, which is what partly gives it that dominance.
Because I'm left-handed.
You're left-handed. I think probably your positive frontal lobe is still your left frontal lobe. So, you know, I'm right-handed, I'm left-eyed, I'm left-legged. You know, it doesn't mean just because you're dominant in one body part that it's that way throughout your entire body.
Because there are some discussions about that. And so I'm interested in the left and the right hand.
Yes, and I'd love to talk more with you later. Maybe you can grab me. So okay, so how is this relevant? The important thing here is the asymmetry, which you mentioned. I love that you said that. So the asymmetry is left is positive and the right is negative. I'm just going to skip down to what's the relevance of Davidson's finding for brain spotting. So traditionally in brain spotting, we want to activate that superior colliculi. Well, looking at pictures is going to activate optic nerves, and the axons of all optic nerves are going to end up in the superior colliculi, right? And so do you think adding the symbols and the optic nerve are going to help access the autobiographical memories that we're going for? The monsters that you're searching for? You think? Okay, I'm just being a little aware of time, and there's more questions on here. I want to mention one thing. In the second Corrigan Grand article, he says that we orient both to danger and the orienting response, but simultaneously we orient to a place of safety. So having the positive, negative pictures, what do you think about that?
It's just a natural, it really is crossing the spirit. I mean, at the time, I mean, in terms of that, in some ways you're, you know, and I always forget this, that corpus callosum.
Yes.
I mean, in some ways you're moving information, and that's where we get integration from. That's where we get, you know, resourcing and transition and transformation.
Right. Yes, very good.
That could be. Just one comment.
Yes.
It just came to me that that could be tested if patients with capsulotomy. Some patients have been severed with surgically to prevent seizures to spread to the other side. It would be very interesting to see if these people can process through Brainspotting or EMDR and stuff. That can be, I mean, scientifically tested.
Right.
This kind of patients, Gazzaniga is the guy who works with his patients. Would be interesting.
Okay. I would like you to see how to put all of this together. So would anybody be willing to volunteer for a demonstration? I just threw that on you. You will. Come on up.
I wouldn't like to do anything.
We can try that, but I'm afraid we're going to get feedback if the mics are too close.
I can help.
You can help? Okay, good.
Just one picture.
Oh, why don't you hold it on the other side of her? Okay. So it's Barbie?
Yeah.
Okay. So Barbie, what is the issue that you want to work on?
I could work on feeling fearful in front of large crowds.
You know, you are such a smart person Because when I do these seminars all around the U.S., people are reluctant to come up, and I say, if nobody comes up, you can work on being fearful in front of large crowds. So is there a thought that goes with the fear of being in front of a large crowd?
Yeah, I think it kind of came up here, which is I feel like I'm going to do something wrong. I feel kind of on the spot. So if I'm not in front of a large crowd and I don't feel, then it's adaptive, right? So I'm more avoidant.
Okay, so you have a part of you that says you might do something wrong.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, or is that mainly it?
I think that there's fear attached to it.
And some fear attached.
Like something bad might happen.
Yes.
Probably.
So part of you says something bad might happen.
Correct.
Excellent. Okay, so now I have the pictures in here, which you're free to look at later. You might need to hold the mic for me.
Sure. I can hold it.
I think we're okay. So, do any of these pictures suggest a part of you that says you might do something wrong or something bad's going to happen?
I could probably go with that one.
Oh, you're going to go with this one, the self-made one. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. He's a new addition. I'll just show you all. He's a drill sergeant, but you might not see him as that. That's okay. So y'all can look later. So you have this part of you that says something bad could happen or you might do something wrong. Okay, and as you look at him, what do you notice in your body?
My legs feel really shaky.
Oh, excellent, wonderful. He's making your legs shake. Okay. Okay, so where would you like to put him somewhere?
Put him?
Yes, just set him down where you can keep your eye on him. And now this takes a little bit, but
It does sort of feel hokey pokey, but that's okay.
okay. All right. So looking through those, pick a picture you like for any old reason, and they look way different in colors. So now this is going to take her longer. It's good that she takes her time, but remember you're firing up that left hemisphere. And not all those pictures people see as positive either. If you see some that you like, just I'll hold them for you.
So there's this one so far.
This, yeah, it's okay. Therapists tend to get a whole lot.
Probably that one. Maybe that one. I like this one when it's kind of similar to the one I picked before.
Yeah, it probably is the one you picked before. Yeah, it's just in color.
I think that's good.
Okay, so let's put these other ones down. And looking at these three, is there one that's stronger or is just, oh, there's four.
Probably these two.
These two, the eagle and the bear. So you all have the eagle, and just because of time, I'll let you look at this mama bear later. Okay, so what do you like about? You pick which one you're going to go with first.
This one was the first one I saw, and it just kind of feels like relaxing. Less protective, but like more like everything's going to be okay.
Okay, so you have a resource within you that tells you that everything's going to be okay. All right, and how about the eagle picture?
This one feels freeing to me, like letting go of old stuff.
So you have a resource for being free, for letting go of old things. Okay, and what do you notice in your body as you're looking at those pictures?
I'm a little bit less shaky.
Okay, is there still some shakiness?
Yeah, my back.
Okay, so focus on whichever picture will help you most and notice whatever's going on in your back and just keep paying attention to it. Attention takes away tension. Beautiful breathing. And just, what do you notice? How is it now?
It's decreasing.
It's decreasing,
Yeah.
okay. It looks like you're really coming down now. Yeah. And just let us know when you're at a 0.
At a 0? Okay.
And I'm just checking in. What are you aware of now?
So I'm completely calm except for like the bottom of my feet.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
And I've noticed if I start thinking about it again, I start getting a little anxious, but then if I just look at the picture, that's where my focus is.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And I promise you, we'll get back to the other, but just like we would, we'll squeeze some lemon. We'll just do it differently.
Now I'm starting to think it's funny that I volunteered because I would never do that.
And what happens?
I'm at a 0.
You're at a 0. Isn't that funny? Whenever people can laugh at themselves, they just become enlightened. Okay, so let's take a second. You can look over there at that guy and the thought something could go wrong and something awful could happen. And what do you notice in your body now as you look at him?
Well, my first response when I looked at him, is this being taped? Because it's like kind of fuck off. Sorry.
Oh, I think fuck off should definitely be on the tape. We'll leave the beeping too.
That was my first
So you want?
Sorry, I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
And that's the only place where they cuss. They don't cuss in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
We don't have any word for that.
Can someone translate fuck off? Yes, you do. What is it?
We don't have words for this.
They're very saintly in Brazil.
Foda-se would be.
They say it?
Foda-se.
Put it? Well, I would fuck it up really bad. Okay, so you automatically want to tell them to fuck off. How does that feel in your body?
Like I just feel really calm and comfortable. Yeah, like whatever.
Yeah, okay. Look around, be aware that you are in front of a group of people. What's that like?
Just a little bit of shakiness in my feet.
Okay, go back here and notice the shakiness in your feet.
So I feel pretty calm.
Calm, yeah. You're down to a 0? Okay. So we've already told him to fuck off, so look at the, you don't need to tell them to fuck off, but how is it looking at them now?
Fine.
It's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. All right. So, any questions or comments? And by the way, you're all my supervisors. You've been deputized, so you can tell me if I did anything wrong. Yes.
You use this for diagnose, or how we can use in our habitual nossos. Como usar isso no dia a dia? É como diagnóstico? I use this which diagnose. Ou se isso entra como uma forma de diagnosticar e conhecer o paciente, né? Ou já estamos tratando assim? Quer dizer, eu sei que está tratando, mas eu queria uma coisa mais específica. Assim.
So can you use it for a diagnostic purpose? Like understanding that.
Wonderful question. Oh, yes. So I had a client who picked this image. And I said, what do you like about it? He said, the dolphins. Oh, what do you like about the dolphins? Well, my dad and I used to go to the Miami Dolphins game. What do you think? Is he getting symbolism or is it something else? It's what?
It's access.
It's access, okay. All right, let me give you another example. Let's say somebody says, oh, I like this one. Well, what do you like about it? I like the way the stars are positioned. I like this star in particular. I like the points on it. Do you hear a resource there? You do? What's the resource?
Sorry, I was doing two things at once, and I was nodding.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay. Okay, do you hear resource? I like the way, I like the color, the yellow color on the stars, and there's a little glow around it. What do you like about that? I just like the way they drew it. Do you hear a resource? You do? All right, this is, anybody want to guess? This, I don't hear a resource, honestly. I can't get one out of it. You know what that would be? It's Asperger's. Asperger's people, now this one I remember, this guy, took me, I've seen him and his wife off and on for about 10 years. My first diagnosis was he was OCPD, personality disorder, then it was just OCD, and then finally it hit me, and for him it was the Miami Dolphin game. It really wasn't a rich symbolism thing. So Asperger's people tend to notice details. They won't see the whole picture. They can't get anything abstract out of it. That's one way it can be diagnostic. Another way it can be diagnostic, so going through the positive images, she saw several positive images. Where'd you go? Right there. Okay. So I had a teenager going through the positive ones, and he didn't see anything he liked. I said, well, what about this one? He said, he's hunting prey, he's going to kill it and tear it apart. I mean, I could not get one, he's the only person who never got one positive picture. Although I did have a man once who, he didn't like any of my pictures. So I said, well, who do you like from history? And he said, I like Charles Darwin. So I very quickly on my computer pulled up a picture of Charles Darwin, and he picked out the picture that he liked. But the kid that couldn't see anything positive, that guy is a scary guy, and I guess that's what David was talking about today. I definitely had limbic counter-transference with him. I just kind of wanted to back away, and I was so glad when his insurance ran out. So, true confessions of a therapist. Now, let me ask you, does this look like brain spotting to you? It's gay spotting, okay, not brain spotting. Do you think it belongs in this camp of brain spotting? And I'm asking for you, I'm just curious. Yes.
Use your eyes. Use the eyes.
It's using the
Use the eyes, principal. Use the eyes. I think it's the similar thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I've used a similar process with really young kids, and I have them draw a picture of something that's really scary, and I use inside window. So you could adapt this to inside window in terms of, picture over here is really scary, picture over here is really beautiful, and you can do directly inside window type brain spotting and titrate between, or just work on one, so I think it's really powerful. The other thing that is I oftentimes struggle with people that are not visualizers, and this is a great way to help people that are that are non-visualizers to be able to access resources, because non-visualizers really struggle a lot of times to find resources, and so I think it would be a really beautiful way to work with them to give them an external image that has an internal experience, so and maybe build some of those networks around visualizing and internally and externally. So.
That's beautifully said. Thank you so much. Okay, 15 minutes. And there was another hand over here. Yes.
I suggest to my patients that she choose one picture and put on the wall. So in the space, what is more, activating more in your body and reprocessing from this, and after she put on the another space on the wall the picture resource and sei lá, have a perceptions on your body when he was, tipo, is more the research or is more the activation, and go on.
So you already use pictures?
Yes.
And you had them take them on the wall?
Yes. Às vezes eu mostro, the patients they draw, or they have in your mind, some patients have it on image on their own phone and show me. Okay, image that.
Oh, you just reminded me. Well, I left out a step. Do you mind coming back up for a second? Let's see. You had the eagle and this one. Oh, do you have a cell phone with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you arrange these the way you want them to be in your mind. Okay. Do you all have any clients without cell phones?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Occasionally, usually it's older people. It's not poor people. It's older. Okay, tell me about that arrangement.
This is sort of the process, right? So, like, it starts off with feeling like I've done something wrong, or I'm, like old stuff, and then you have like this really nurturing, empathic place, right? And then sort of the freedom of being able to fly away.
Well, lovely.
Right?
Take a picture, and then I'm going to show how you can use them. Okay, go to your gallery. Okay. Now, these pictures, they look better in the cards, they look better on phones. So, when you notice that voice in your head that says you might do something wrong, you can see him and then scoot away from him.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that neat? And you can blow it up big, and then just, focus in. You might even see the stars and the beautiful expanse.
Yeah, so what I was thinking was that this must be really beneficial for like people, what David was talking about, who have like severe trauma, right? And they don't have internal resources.
Right.
So do you use it that way as well?
Well, that's interesting. Do you all think that people don't have internal resources, or do you think everybody has them and they just don't have access to
That
them?
may be the case. Yeah, right.
Okay, so what happens, yes,
They are afraid of accessing them. These are people who have been traumatized, so they are afraid of accessing the parts because they fear. I had one client that said, my fear is that I will lose it if I access it. It will go away.
Oh, I've never heard that idea before. That's very interesting. I did write a book called Empowering Dialogues Within, and my cards are around if you want to have it. And it starts out with the story of Elijah and the still small voice. Do you guys know that story? I don't think I have time to tell it, but everybody has a still small voice. But when you're afraid, you can't hear it. The personality parts have loud, booming voices. You're going to do something wrong. You're going to mess up. They're not going to like you. That's a very loud voice. But you found you're still small. Well, I told it to fuck up. That was kind of fuck off. That was sort of a loud voice. But, we didn't quite get, there's probably the nurturing one. I'm here. I'm with you. Everything's going to be fine. We don't hear those voices. Now, so this gets into, and I know I'm supposed to have 15 minutes for open-ended questions, but I think we're talking back and forth anyway, so it's okay. So one of the ways that I generally, my rule of thumb is I start off with the pointer. But if for some reason people are having trouble looking at the pointer, I'll start using the resource card. If it's getting too late in the session and they haven't come down, I have them get a resource card to take with them and take a picture of it. So I use them in all kinds of ways. If I have somebody who is inactivated, they're like, well, I really got angry at my boss yesterday, but I don't feel it now. And I say, so find a picture of what would represent your anger. Look at it. Believe me, they'll get activated. Yeah, and then you can bring them down. So hopefully you'll look over the handout more, and on page 8, I have various ways of using the resource image and the ego say cards. Now, when not to use them, I mentioned before. If somebody's really activated and they look at a resource picture, they may come down like that. And I think slower is better, but I don't know why. Can anybody explain to me why? You notice with our volunteer, it did take her a little while, and she noticed how it moved through her body. Yes, do you have an idea on why that's important?
True neuroplasticity takes time. So when it's instantaneous, there's two different types of neuroplasticity. There's automatic, and that's short term, and it's not long lasting. Slower definitely is a much more kind of long term neuroplasticity that's going to lead to long term change. That's just my gut reaction.
Don't you think that's a wonderful answer? Does anyone want a coattail on that?
I don't agree.
Oh?
No.
Okay.
No. Because in my work, I do the opposite way. I don't calm them down. I work with flooding. Well, I don't know if you know it.
Yes.
You push the emotional response to the top, and you count with the auto-regulation of the system. And you can cure a trauma in very short time, but you have to push it to the top, and it will auto-regulate, and it will come down, and the patient is in the same situation, but the trauma is gone, or emotional response is gone.
Okay, are you saying that you get it to come down instantaneously?
It's very, very fast.
What do you do that gets it so fast down?
I tell them, I explain the process, and if they trust me, they jump in it, and they go, and they tell me, my heart is beating, make it beat faster. My respiration is accelerating, do it faster. I always tell them, you can suffer 2-3 hours in a medium level, and it will oscillate, it won't go away. Or we will do it in 10 minutes, but you have to go in with me with all. And it functions,
Okay,
it's very effective. I've done this 15 years.
Yes,
That takes like 10 minutes,
10 minutes.
but not 10 seconds.
Yes.
No, not 10 seconds, but what's great, if you go back the other session, it's almost gone. You can't find the rest.
No, I think that's incredible what you said. I think that because it was our doubts. If there is only a shift of emotions from negative to positive, that wouldn't be processing, right?
No.
But if it takes a few like a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, that's processing. Okay, of course, she wasn't. Her suds was like, what was your suds in the beginning?
In the beginning, sorry.
Yeah, when you have the shaking leg.
Yeah, see, I forgot.
No, that's okay. Just
Oh, suds. I'm sorry. It's probably like a 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So you would say, make the legs shake.
Make it to the top. Look at all of them and think what they might think of you. It's cruel. It's cruel in some way. But you do it, and I combine it with the bilateral stimulation, and the patient focuses on the emotion. And the emotion links with all the history she has. Maybe she had a father who was very military, and a teacher who was very, very angry, and she will process all of it linked to the emotion.
I think what you're saying is very valuable, because I'm the kind of person who likes to get as much activation as I can. But I think the point that they're saying is, even if it takes them 10 minutes to come down, that allows for the neuroplasticity change. What I'm talking about is if she came up here and she looked at this picture, and she's like, oh, I feel so peaceful. There's no processing in there. I think that's what people are wanting.
But I remember my time in university, and there was one technique, and it remembered me that technique. It's called Gegenkonditionierung. You take one emotion and you put another positive emotion against, but I would say that it's like putting on putting on
just squashing it and not really.
Yes,
doing.
you don't. In my opinion, you have to first clean the wound, and then you put on some
Yes, and
curative,
and it happens.
But if you put it first,
yes,
it will continue effective.
We're very short on time, so to paraphrase what you're saying, in brain spotting, what we do is we start with the activation, then it comes down, and the positive comes. And where does it come from?
From inside.
From where?
From inside, from your resources.
It may come from inside, it may come from out here.
It comes from.
What is your question? Where does it come from?
When you get into your, I would say, parasympathetic nervous system, your rest connect, and you're calm and relaxed, you get a lot of acetylcholine, which is the learning neurotransmitter. But these beautiful thoughts that people get, where do they come from? I'm asking you, I don't know. Does anyone know?
They may come from inside, they may come from the universe.
From the universe.
I will do another example that's more drastic.
Just because we're real short of time, can we see if anybody else wants to make a comment?
Sorry,
I'm so sorry.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. You tell us, some of us will stay later. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I think we're right at time, right? Go ahead. All right, go ahead. Tell your other thing.
I will try to be short. I'm sure that you had already had a victim of abuse that is very aggressive and wants vengeance. I let him have vengeance. Yes, but in the therapy, in the office, vengeance.
Vengeance.
Because for the unconscious, justice is vengeance. It's a primitive part. And I tell them, you can imagine whatever you want in the session. I apply the stimulation, I tell them, now you can do with your abuser, whatever you want. And there come images of hatred and eating them up and vomiting and eating him up again, and it's very dramatic. But after a short time, they say, no, I don't want to do it anymore. I forgive him. I want to let him go. Now I am at peace. And it's very interesting. You look at this hatred, and suddenly it's gone, and there's peace, and there's nice images. But I never put the nice images upon the ugly ones.
I think everybody here will agree with you on that. And so the last word he said was, I'm done, I can let him go now. So that's the positive thought that came. Now, do you ever have them look at the pointer instead of doing eye movements?
Now, I have to put my hands on. I have to get my hands dirty. I don't like the pointer.
You don't like the pointer?
I have to look at them and put my hands, and I have to be with them.
Okay, I will say I've done the same thing and used the pointer or used the
pointer is the instrument between me and the patient. I don't like it. I'm very close to the patient. The patient is here and I'm here. And the room is very, very, very small, and he can't get anywhere. He has to go to me to keep the monster.
Well, if the pointer doesn't work, I would do that. Any other comments or anything? So my closing comment is, if you want to go far, go alone. This is a quote. No, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, we must go together, and we are moving together. Thank you all so much.
Pessoal, temos anúncios aqui no final.
Pessoal,
anybody wants to look at the pictures? Or
thank you.
Questions?
Thank you for the speech. It was very nice.